I think East New York has been neglected for decades as it relates to resources being provided by city, state, and federal government, and that had a lot to do with the complexion of the community and also proximity to Manhattan. So it was sort of like an island that was isolated as it relates to our closeness to Wall Street and also our closeness to JFK. But based upon, I think, the demographics, the economics, and also culturally, the community has been neglected for at least 2 decades.
You're saying that its distance from Manhattan made it part of the
I
neglect?
think, of course,
Okay,
the
okay.
distance from Manhattan has a lot to do with the valuation of property and also the interest in living in a community, because if you live, let's say in central Brooklyn, it'll take about a half an hour to get to Wall Street or 45 minutes to Midtown. If you live in East New York, you're looking at about an hour and 15 minutes. So that half an hour played a significant part into, I guess, who lived here and why the community was neglected.
Mm-hmm. Along with the racial factors associated.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So, and do you feel like the rezoning has had an impact on the neighborhood at all yet? It's just over a year?
Definitely so. The rezoning placed a bright light on a very dark community. It was put under the microscope. And just to take a step back, like there's a plan called a 197A plan, which you really look at a community, you look at the resources, you look at a lot of the assets and what's missing and what the community has, and that was never done. So
that's usually a plan that the local community board will create, right?
And also, you know, it takes a significant amount of funding to bring in those type of consultants to really look at all aspects and avenues of a community. That was never done.
Okay.
So a lot of the development that took place was kind of ad hoc. Now with the mayor coming in and there being a need for housing in New York City, and East New York has always been a community to solve a lot of the social ills, whether, you know, going back 20, 30 years ago when we had a waste transfer station, or just a concentration of individuals living in the shelter system. We've always solved a lot of the social ills. Now the next one up is affordable housing. Fortunately for us, we had a lot of land and also low density. In addition to a study being commissioned by Department of City Planning that was in the can, they felt this was the first opportunity or a prime candidate to engage in rezoning, to talk about how can we increase the unit count in affordable space. With that being said, but keep in mind the residents and the businesses have gone through a period of 20 years of neglect. Now you need us, and now you're talking about providing resources to us. And I think what's indicative is that we were able to create the Coalition for the Advancement of East New York, which is comprised of a lot of stakeholders from a lot of various disciplines to really weigh in, to shape, and to be a significant force as to what this transformation is going to take place. What was important, and I think the administration didn't get it right from the start, was to really bring us in early in the process, so when the canvas was blank, so we could shape what ultimately would become. And I think because we were brought into the equation late, it created, to a degree, an adversarial relationship that didn't necessarily have to be there. Of course, we had some non-negotiables, and there was some, I guess, items that the city had as non-negotiables, but I think we could have gotten to that point a lot quicker, because if we work together, I think we can achieve a greater outcome.
Now, a year and 2 months after this rezoning, now, do you feel like, what are some of the things that you feel maybe have? Is there anything that you feel like the city has not addressed sufficiently?
To this point, I can't, I'm not that I'm surprised. I think the mayor and a lot of his commissioners generally, what they articulated through our discussions and through our negotiations, they've actually tried to deliver on to the greatest extent possible. So I'm pleased from that vantage point. We do see some of the funding that was allocated, the 267 million in various aspects, have started to trickle in, and a lot is going to happen more in fiscal year 18. So that's July 1st. We're 6 weeks or 4 weeks away from that. But doing the study, a commercial district needs assessment was done, and I think it gave us some of those. It gave us direction. It also was introspective to see what we have and to see what we need. So as it relates to placemaking, district marketing, cleaning and beautification, some of those things are being brought into the envelope. I mean, what's interesting, it's not interesting, it's the fact that the money was dedicated in this particular area to do these particular things, and those things are starting to roll out. And I think that's going to be beneficial for those businesses and residents that are indigenous to East New York.